A new study suggests that choosing to live simply may not only be good for the planet, but also for our own well-being. Researchers in New Zealand looked at whether people who deliberately consume less and focus more on relationships and community feel happier and more fulfilled. The short answer is yes, and especially when that simplicity is tied to social connection and personal growth. The team analysed data from over 1,600 people, carefully selected to reflect the country's wider population. They used a detailed questionnaire that measured how much people engaged in practices, like reducing resource use, buying locally, growing food, or contributing to their communities. They also asked about well-being in two forms: happiness and life satisfaction on one hand, and a deeper sense of purpose and growth on the other. The results were clear. People who practiced voluntary simplicity tended to score higher on both kinds of well-being, but it wasn't just cutting back on consumption that made the difference. The strongest effects showed up when people engaged in what the researchers called beneficence, activities like sharing resources, volunteering, or joining community gardens. In other words, the biggest boost came from the social side of simplicity. Other behaviors like frugality or self-sufficiency were still linked to well-being, but not as strongly on their own. The findings suggest that it's not the absence of stuff that matters most, but the presence of connection, meaning, and shared experience. Interestingly, the study also found some differences across groups. Women who practiced voluntary simplicity seemed to gain more in terms of well-being compared to men. Age and income didn't show major effects, though there were hints that older adults and those with lower incomes might benefit slightly more. The researchers stress that this kind of lifestyle is not about deprivation. It's about consciously choosing enough rather than excess, and finding satisfaction in experiences, relationships, and purpose instead of constant consumption. They argue that such a shift could ease pressure on the environment while also improving lives. It's worth noting that this was a cross-sectional study, so it can't prove cause and effect. More research is needed to know if simple living directly makes people happier, or if happier people are just more likely to choose simplicity. For more details, you can find the full story at scipost.org.